the top tonight, the road to recovery is a rough one for many East Texas tornado survivors.
Many people in rural Van Zandt County have not gotten any volunteer help, and they really need it. CBS 19's Risa Morris joining us live just outside Edom, where people are still clearing away debris, Risa.
Mike and Dana, I want to show you Jim Little's yard. It looks almost as the same as it did 4 weeks ago when that EF3 tornado rolled through this area. Little was promised help many times, but if you look around, you can see it obviously hasn't come.
So we had acres of trees down, some of them through the roof, some of them through other buildings completely collapsed. We had years of work ahead of us.
Little lives in rural Van Zandt County outside of Edom. His yard still looks like this because not a single volunteer has come by his house, and he just can't do it alone.
Our whole neighborhood, all of the people around here just kind of feel left out, feel like we were just overlooked, neglected.
Little has put in work orders, but they haven't been completed. Volunteer coordinator Jessica Good says it comes down to not having enough volunteers.
When we don't have many volunteers, it's hard to send just a small group to a rural area because it's hard to get to and hard to find, and they need big equipment also. They don't need just people to pick up limbs and throw them out into the middle of a pile.
Equipment like backhoes and skid steers are what's really needed right now in Van and the surrounding areas. With no help on the way, Little has accepted that all this cleanup may take some time.
All of our neighbors are left with the task of doing it all themselves, and that's okay. We can do that. It was just that we were promised all along that help was coming and never did.
He expects it to take years to clean up his dream home, which has turned into a reminder of a tornado he desperately wants to forget.
It'd be great to have it cleaned up so that when you drive up the driveway, you don't have to look at mounds and piles of dead and decaying trees, and you can start thinking about the future instead of about the past.
And you can see here the area in front of Little's house has mostly been cleaned up. That's because he spent $6,000 out of his own pocket.
Well, Risa, if people want to volunteer, they're looking at this saying, gee, I could help there. What do they do?
They need to go to the Van Community Center, bring all of the equipment you can. If you have nothing but you just want to lend your two hands, they have all kinds of tools there. But if you've got big equipment, like I said, backhoes, skid steers, they really need that. So show up at the Van Community Center whenever you can. And if you want to come out to here, the rural area, just tell the volunteer coordinators that that's where you're interested in helping. Back to you.
Good story, Risa. Thanks so much.
And it is important to register, though, at the Van Community Center because FEMA actually collects all that data on the number of volunteers and hours that those volunteers put in.
I mean, those volunteers have their own equipment and they can help out in that way. Now, if you have questions about volunteering, call Van City Hall.